Selamat datang di channel video kami. Jangan lupa subscribe untuk update video-video terbaru kami.
Modern diesel traction has now made its impact with faster timings and new rolling stock. The overnight service from Jakarta to Surabaya now takes just 10 hours for the 400-mile run. Not bad for a narrow-gauge railway in the tropics. Indonesia, now being an oil-rich country, can afford to purchase and maintain all the diesel locomotives it needs. Freight traffic is booming, as business lost to the roads has now been won back to the railways, with the State Oil Corporation, Pertamina, the main customer. Principal stations, such as this one at Jogja, are kept as immaculate as the day the Dutch built them in the 30s. Standards inside are just as high too, with the numbers of food vendors on the platforms strictly limited, in marked contrast to the chaotic scenes on the Surabaya tram. A ride through this exotic land by train is a good way to see the country and has become very popular with overseas tourists. The new order on Indonesia's railways was in sharp contrast with the overgrown tracks in Surabaya's locomotive yards, which we filmed just 18 years earlier. Reflecting the different types of routes served, there was an intriguing selection of locomotives, few of which made it in later years to the Railway Museum. This 8-coupled tank of the D14 class was built in 1921. Left behind by the Japanese after World War II were a couple of these C-32 class 262 tanks, a typical Nippon product. They were used for local goods and replaced these 90-year-old C-11 class 260 tanks, which appeared to have been on standby ever since the C-32s arrived. The newest mainline engines were these D-52s, built in 1951. Rusting away in the weeds was a tiny 060 tank of the C-31 class. It looked unlikely to return to its home on the Isle of Madura tramways. Abandoned nearby was one of the last C-53 Pacifics. Dating from 1917, these handsome machines from Werkspoor were once the fastest narrow-gauge engines in the world, reaching 100 kilometers per hour on the Batavia Mail. In 1974, there was just one steam express train left at Surabaya, the midday departure for Jogja, hauled by one of the post-war D-52s. We rode the Jogja Express back towards central Java and reached our final destination in this railway odyssey, Madiun, junction for the branch to Selachung. Here, hidden away in the hills, were the oldest tender engines in Java, the B-50 class 240s. Built in 1880 by Sharp Stewart in Manchester, These elegant centenarians were the original power for the Batavia Mail, pride of the line when the Dutch East India Railway first opened. Wheezing sedately out of Ponorogo Station, old number 12 demonstrated the secret of her longevity by keeping her speed firmly below 10 miles per hour at all times. Even in a land where the incredible was beginning to seem normal, this was a truly remarkable thing to see. The Indonesian for railway is Kereta Api, or wheels of fire. When machines like this first appeared in Java over 100 years ago, one can easily imagine why people used to nothing faster than a bullock cart would coin such a phrase. Service on the line was shared by these comparative newcomers, the B-53 class 440s, which arrived in 1912 when the Sharp Stewarts were already over 30 years old. Meanwhile, old number 12, the doyenne of the Java roster, collected her passengers at the picturesque Slahong terminus and ruminated quietly before making a leisurely return to Madiun. Both the line and its antique locomotives had expired peacefully by 1980, along with the rest of Indonesia's steam engines, bringing to a close one of the most fascinating chapters in the history of steam railways.